You're not funding deals, guys, or you're finding things a bit tough going? Well, watch this video to the end. Watching videos on our channel, you will know that I don't tend to like focusing on what I call the nuts and bolts of this profession, you know, how to get leads, that kind of stuff. None of that makes you money, right? What does make you money is you. So I like to go a layer deeper and focus on the us equation and, you know, what you need to do to ensure your success. Now, for me, I remember the first time that I consistently hit 10k months as a broker. And you know, it was a huge achievement, right, guys? And I remember it really well. It was a very emotional time in my life. I'd kind of gone from having this well-paid, you know, career, if you like, in corporate, to then going it alone, and I failed hard for a good year. To go through all of that stress, there's a lot of self-doubt that I went through, a lot of anxiety, and there were these numerous individuals, family members, kind of even yelling in my ear. I was going to say whispering, but yelling in my ear that I should go back to my old job, right? Because things weren't working out. That I was risking my family and my kids. That I was being really irresponsible. You can imagine, to finally hitting those milestones, it's an experience I really can't even describe even now. There was this whole mounting of emotion that just lifted off of my shoulders. It was an amazing moment in my life, I won't lie. The main thing that I learned from a personal perspective was validation that I was right, that I could actually do this, and there was a business to be built. And actually that I wasn't irresponsible. That really peed me off, to be frank. Now, you can't go through all of that and not learn something. And there were two kind of big lessons that I believe, had I not learned, I wouldn't actually have made it. I wouldn't be here filming this video. I'd have gone back and got my job back. And the first one I think is obvious, but it's one that you don't really realise when you're in the situation itself. And it's that those closest to you do not always give you the best advice. And I'd actually go one further and say that if those closest to you are not living the life that you want, the reason you're doing it for, unfortunately, their advice is actually worthless to you. Now, dealing with that can be a really painful experience. It really was for me, you know, because you've got to ignore them and you've got to kind of just get your head down and get on with it. And it can become a very lonely experience. But one, you've got to see through if you really want to achieve that success. You've got to have that belief. Now, I'm saying this because some of you are going to experience that, you know, and if it's not dealt with properly, that peer pressure will actually bring you to a stop. It will mean that you give up and go back and do something else, whatever that may be, right? So you've definitely got to be mindful of it. Now, the other one is leadership. Now, I don't mean leadership of others. I mean leadership of yourself. Now, again, I didn't really consider this because I came from a corporate background. I kind of knew the sandbox that I was playing in, right? You know, I'd led a team, I was leading a team, but in no way in my career was it preparing me for making money on my own with just me to answer to. So leadership for me isn't or wasn't about how you lead others. It's about how you lead yourself first. And I'm talking about how you conduct yourself in certain situations, how you think in those situations, how you take action in those situations. And ultimately, you know, how by leading yourself, you can pretty much guarantee your success. Now, for me, that leadership piece, as I say, it's about you. It's about a key skill and honing that skill and developing that skill over time. And there are 3 tips that I found instrumental in me leading myself and then hitting those consistent months. And that's what I want to share. And the first one is having a crystal clear vision of yourself, for yourself, and where you want to be, right? You've got to understand the reasoning behind what you're doing. Otherwise, you're just aimless, right? You're just kind of like doing stuff, hoping for some sort of outcome, but there's no direction in what it is you're doing. You have to know what you want and where you want to be in crystal clear detail. And you must know why you want that, guys. If you want, you know, just what someone else has got because they've got that, then you're not going to be strong enough to carry you through the challenges that you're going to face in getting the things that you need to get moving, and then ultimately when you've got it moving to then start building it. My point here is really that, you know, you've got to make this the forefront of your mind, especially when things get hard. Number 2 is leading yourself well means that you have to be in full control of your emotions. Now, guys, I know that you probably think that you control your emotions, and we all do, right? But the other part of this is that we are also human beings, and we react to any situation emotionally. It's natural. So for me, this is a conscious thing again, because my first reaction is always to be emotional. And it will be the same for you, right? You are human, as I've just said. So what really matters here is that you know you are being emotional. You know what's happening. So let's get real. It will never, ever, ever be plain sailing doing this. You will make huge mistakes and you are going to go through some pain. You're going to trust people, as an example, that will fail, that let you down. It's going to be stressful. It's going to be frustrating and everything in between. It will be emotional. That's an absolute guarantee. But great leaders have patience and guidance to help them turn their failures into lessons. They can do that because they are able to think clearly, to assess and take action accurately without emotion. Poor leaders, on the other hand, they take offence to things, they react emotionally to things that aren't going their way, and they generally allow the emotion of the moment to dictate what they do next. Emotional control, therefore, is key to being able to lead yourself to success. Okay? Number 3, you should always be evolving. Just because you hit that milestone, just whatever that milestone may be, doesn't mean your journey's at an end. It's a natural thing to start cruising at that point. You've worked really hard, you've made it, things are happening right now. But the problem is, if you do that, you're going to stagnate. And stagnation comes from a place of laziness. And when we are lazy, we are definitely not learning, we're not reading material, we're not asking the right types of questions. We basically stop being the very person who achieved that milestone in the first place, right? So if you're not careful, it will all come to this sort of grinding halt. The money will stop flowing. So never stop evolving who you are. And in doing so, you're going to find actually things get easier when making money. It will start coming in from all of these different angles and you won't even know how it's happening. And it really actually is that simple. Keep these 3 tips at the forefront of your mind. And I promise you, you're not going to go far wrong in what you're doing on your journey. Okay? So get back to the point. Have a crystal clear vision and understanding of your why, where you're going with it. Okay? That's solid leadership. And the next thing in all of that is emotion. You must be in control of your emotions. You must learn accurate thinking, accurate diagnosis of different situations so that you can ensure that when you take action, it's going to lead to the right conclusions, right? Very, very key. And then the final one, as I say, just to kind of wrap this whole thing up, you've always got to be evolving, guys. There's always got to be forward momentum. Never stop, never stagnate. Stagnate is the root of laziness. Laziness means that nothing happens, okay? 3 tips, very simple. That was it. See you on the next one.
To learn more about our 90-day risk-free promise, click the video in the upper left corner. And for another great video, click the one below that. And finally, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future content. Just click the badge in the center of the screen and we'll see you on the next video. Above all, make it a great day.